Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from guitarlessons365.com. We are going to finish our look at Mayonnaise by Smashing Pumpkins by checking out all of Billy Corgan's guitar parts in the song. So he's in a lot more simplistic tuning. This is just in standard E-flat tuning. So every string tuned down a half step. E-flat, A-flat, D-flat, G-flat, B-flat, E-flat. All right, so after you're there, we're going to start with his intro solo. Now all of his solos, including the main solo, in the middle of the song, and then this intro solo on clean guitar and the outro solo on clean guitar, all of them are just in B mixolydian. Now, since we're tuned down a half step, that's actually B flat mixolydian, but you know, you can visualize it as B mixolydian across the fretboard. All right, so let's start with this first phrase of the solo. All right, so that starts with a slide from the 2nd to the 4th fret on the G string. Then you can do a quick hammer on between those two notes. Then over to 2 on the B string, and then 4, half step bend and release there on the on the B string, and then back down to that 2. Then you're going to hammer back onto the 4th fret. And resolve that right here to the 1st fret on the G string. So we have this so far. Then from this fret here, you can do, if you want, which I play a little bit like later on in the song, you can just slide it up to that 4 and then grab that G sharp at the 6th fret on the D. So I'm playing it right here for right now though. And then we're going to slide from 2 to 4 on the D. Back down to 2. And then play 4 over to 2 on the A. So all together. Now the second phrase. Now I have a slight bit of phaser in front of this song. I'm just using kind of like a phase 90 pedal here, a little bit of phase on it. So that's kind of gives that little kind of swirling sound about it. So we start with that slide again, 2 to 4 on the G. And then we have a pre-bend at the 4th fret on the B string. So a half step pre-bend and release. And then you're going to hammer 2 to 4. And then you're going to do that again, but this time go 2, hammer 4, pull back up to 2, down to the open. So when you pull off to that B string, jump up here to the 7th fret on the B string, and then pull off 5 to 0. All right, now we start this next phrase. All right, so that's 7, 5, 4, 5, 4. And then we do that little hammer pull again between 2 and 4 on the open string. So we hammer 2 to 4, pull back up to 2, pull off to the open string. And then back to 2, then slide to 4, over to 12, it's 12, over to 6 on the D string. And then really lightly in the mix, you hear him go slide 2 to 4 on the D, but it's very light. And then he comes back to this. So he's hitting pinch harmonics on a clean guitar tone, so it's not going to make the harmonics. It really makes it sound really staccato-y. With you can hear some harmonics popping out there. So So it's just a pattern that he's taken down. 7, 5, 4, and then 5, 4, 2, and then 4, 2, 0. So it's just 3 notes down off of each note in the scale in the B mixolydian. And then he works his way back up, 2, 4, 5, sliding into 7. Then come up to the 9th fret and do a pre-bend, half-step pre-bend again. Release it, and plays 7. And as he holds that, he goes and plays the harmonic on that same fret on the B string. And then we finally get to the chords. So that's just, he holds an E major chord. But you're not going to hear the G string that loud all the time. Sometimes it's just kind of that G string is muted. You're just hearing the strings around it, so it's like a big E open power chord. So if you're muting that G string. And then here's the octave here that he does with this when James Iha does it. Now, at the very beginning of the song, he does it a little differently. He could just like this, like. So instead of maybe going to here, at the very beginning of the song, play the power chord here. And then he'll do this. He'll go, play. So he's trying to get that note in there. So we have this. So you're hearing this with this at the very end of it added to it. So you can do the octave, and then when you come back down to here, add that note on top. So we have this. It's kind of the only time I really hear that, and was hear that little melody there. All right, so just adding a note on the top there, and then he kicks the distortion in, and you can't hear what's going on hardly after that anyway. So that's the main rhythm of the song, and you're going to see this played a couple different ways. Really, the only different way is how he plays this first chord. Sometimes he'll play it here at the 2nd fret off the A string, just a power chord, and then the power chord off the 4th fret of the low E string, and then the E major, and then those octaves, just that octave shape, 6th fret on the A, 8th fret on the G string, slide it up, and then back down. Let that string ring under it. Or sometimes you'll see him play, instead of playing this here, he plays it the power chord of the 7th fret. That's really the only difference. Same chord. And the last time, just like we did in James Iha's part, he moves up the octave. Like you'll hear that right before the vocal, at the end of each verse. So that's that octave now off the 11th fret instead of the 6th. So it goes, instead of going 6, 7, 6, it goes 11, 12, I'm sorry, 11, 12, 11. Talk about that note here. All right, so that's the verse. Pretty simple. All right, now at the 1 minute and 45 second mark, we have that riff that just happens once in the song. It sounds like this. All right, so that's off a C sharp power chord, 4th fret of the A string. And then we go to this A chord, which is the open A string, then the 7th fret on the D, and then the 6th fret on the G, into that E major chord. So I know this has this big muff guitar tone on it, like they use. So, and it kind of gets lost. It's a really kind of chaotic sounding guitar tone. Repeat that. C sharp, power chord, the A chord. So after you've done that twice, then we take it to the F sharp power chord, 2nd fret off the low E string. Play that a few times. Up to G sharp, so up 2 frets. Back to the E. And just repeat that F sharp, up to G sharp, and this time end it with the A sus2 chord. So it's just like an A major chord with the open B there instead of the. Just leave the B string open. All right, so then we go through the verse, just like the same as the first verse, and then we have that verse variation riff. You'll know what I'm talking about if you watched the first video. This happens at the 2-minute and 37-second mark, and it's just a simplistic version of that, the verse really. So it's just got that pause in it. And then the rhythm continues with that E chord, James Iha does, as Billy Corgan goes into his solo. So the solo has a little bit of phaser on it. So let me see if I can kick in a phaser here for you. All right, so he does that a little bit differently live, but obviously we're trying to do it just like the album here. So we're going to start here. Now it almost sounds like there's a really light octave pedal or a double or something going on, but live he just really plays it as a single. So if there is an octave pedal or an lot, it's really, really low in the mix. You can kind of hear it there, following along with it. And then he has quite a bit of phaser going on over the tone. So let's start here. Now, a lot of times live, he will start with a full octave building up. So I'll do that too. Remember, we're still in B mixolydian or B flat mixolydian. So it starts at the 7th fret octave off the A string. And slide that to 9. Then slide it up to 11, 12, 14. And then we're going to really start the solo off that 14th fret, and a lot of these notes are going to be along the A string. All right, so that's the first phrase. So we have the 14th fret on the A string, then 12, 11, 12, back to 12, and then play 9, 11, and then kind of a slow bend there at the 6th fret on the A string. And then we're going to have this. All right, so out of that bend, that 6th fret bend, you're going to play 2-4 on the A string, and then over to the 2nd fret of the low E string. And then from there, we're going to go. So we just played 2-4 on the low E string, over 2 on the A string. Then you play a little bend and release at the 4th fret, back down to 2. So we have this. And then do that same thing here on the D string. We'll bend and release. So bend on the 4, bend and release, and then down to 2. So we have this. And then you're going to end it with playing 4, 2 on the A. So let me just play what we got so far. And the end of the solo sounds like this. So we play 2-4, 2-4 on the low E string. And then you slowly bend that up a half step, that 4th fret. To the low E open string. It's got that crazy phaser on it. And then we're going to have this to end it. So we had this sliding into 7 on the D string and then play 6-4, 6-4 on the D. And then slide into the 9th fret on the D. Then play 7-6 on the D. Over to 7 on the A. So we had this. And then slide into the 11th fret on the D, and then we're going to end it with a big, long, slow whole step bend off the 7th fret of the low on the A string. You're going to hear the live. You'll see him usually do like a unison bend there, but on the album, he does that instead. All right, so out of the solo, it's just acoustic guitar. And then at the 3-minute and 49-second, he comes in with the acoustic guitar and does this little build-up section. It sounds like this. So he does that same melody that starts the solo after the build-up. So you just kind of, you can do that power chord here or down here. All right, and then from there, after that build-up here, we're at this verse variation again. So we're still following along with the parts that we did in James Iha's parts. So, and that is just pretty much the remember the little pause version of it? And then second time through, remember from before, is when we pause. Then I'll stop it on the A. See how it ends with that A? Remember the second time through when we did the first video? That's going to be an A sus2 chord here. And the other guy doing that, so he's... And then from there, we kind of go through, follow the same sections as before. We have that same riff that was on the acoustic. It was just kind of an extended version of the verse. So at the 4-minute and 22-second mark. Just kind of not pausing on anything, just let it go. And then you hear that melody. You'll hear that same melody in there at the very end. They do it again. And then we get to the 4-minute and 49-second mark. So we're getting to the last distorted riff in the song. And it sounds like this. So it's kind of the verse variation. That ends with the A, and then the verse variation that just ends with both E's. And then he kicks it back into the clean setting, and we finish it off with another little guitar solo that sounds like this. All right, so it's kind of fading out there towards the end, but he just kind of goes through the scale on this B mixolydian. But the beginning we can hear, so it starts with that same slide, 2 to 4 on the G. And you're going to pull off 5 to 4 to 0 on the B string, and then play 7. And then you're going to kind of do the same lick again, except it's going to be up here at the 9th fret, pull off to 7. And then the open again. And then play 5 and slide it up to the 12th fret. And then from there, it starts fading out, so it's kind of hard to hear, but he starts going back at the 9th fret. And it's just kind of doing these little 3-note legato licks. Hits that 9 a couple times picking, and then just play 9, hammer 12, back to 9, and then the same thing between 7 and 9, and 5 and 7, 4 and 5, and at this point it's really getting, you can't really hear it. And 2, 4, 2. It does, I think, make it its way back up to that 7, so kind of stuff like that. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot going on in this track, and you definitely need 2 guitar players and those unique tunings to make it sound really close to it. But when you put it together, it really sounds great. So it's really cool chord voicings when they work together. All right, and some cool solos as well. So it's a fun song to play. I'll see you guys again soon for guitarlessons365.com.